Nathan, 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 NathanIvy.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. As far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, closed fists, yeah, too strong. Team NI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of drippos. Show you where the Brits at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 5-1-3, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. My people at.
Welcome back. Nate Ivy in the air chair. Hope you're having a beautiful Thursday morning so far. It's very chilly here in the city of Cincinnati. I think the degrees, somewhere around 40 degrees this morning. And man, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it seems like the weather has really changed. This is full-on fall weather. This is beard weather. This is long sleeves. How many people have turned their heat on? It's that kind of weather. Good morning to you. Now, if you would like to share your thoughts this morning, I've got a number for you, 513-873-7134. That is my number if you'd like to share your thoughts and talk about whatever's discussed this morning. As of yet, I've got a couple of irons in the fire, so to speak, so anything can happen during the show. It's not uncommon for me to get a text message or an email or a DM saying, hey, Nate, I can do it. But as of right now, it's a clean slate in terms of guests. Although tomorrow, I do have a guest from the Cincinnati School Board who's running for Cincinnati School Board, and he'll be on the show tomorrow. Let me double check here to make sure. He'll be on the show tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So near the end of the show, and depending on how the conversation goes, we might go a little bit over. You know, it's hard to predict these things. And check it out. So if you don't know, I've kicked off my school board interviews. I'll be interviewing school board candidates, judicial candidates between now and up until election day. And I'll be delivering the realest interviews that you're going to hear. I'll be asking the questions that need to be asked, tearless and fearless, or should I say fearless and tearless, right? Keep it alphabetical. And please share. If you're someone who's planning on voting here in Hamilton County, please share. Please share. Good morning. 513-873-7134. Again, I'll say it again and leave it like that. Well, RIP to Elijah Cummings, who's passed away, right? Civil rights icon has passed away. An opponent of, I won't say opponent, but I'll say a frequent target of the current president. And some say that he's displayed the kind of courage that you'll want. And now he has passed away. I want to give you a little bit of an update on the history. I'm sure many people inside the room, or they know who Elijah Cummings is, and they're very aware of why he has a significance in our history. But I just want to take a second, just a moment of silence. Yes, RIP, man. We always got to recognize the greats when they make that transition. That's all it is. It's a transition. He just made the transition before us. Elijah Cummings. I mean, you go back 2 months ago, Donald Trump was embroiled in a controversy, which is what he seems to do best. It's just so funny, man. There's people out there, Trump supporters, who still think that Donald Trump's got some kind of plan. He's got some kind of plan, right? Within the last 24 hours, I was listening to an interview of a white male farmer, and they were trying to, the interview basically was, do you still support Donald Trump and why? And this dude was like, I mean, you know, it's like, I'm going to roll with him. I'm going to roll with him. I feel like he's got a plan. He's got a plan. The only plan that Donald Trump had, his number one plan, was to tilt the government in the favor of the uber rich. And he did that with the so-called, tax reform. Tax reform, basically further concentration of wealth. That's what he did. Other than that, when have you ever seen Donald Trump to have a plan? People can see, that just goes to show you, people can see whatever they want to see. There's some people out there, man, that have the amazing ability of being able to tell themselves whatever they want to tell themselves, even if it's a detriment to them. You met somebody like that before? It's like, what are you thinking, B? That makes no sense. And they'll believe it. There's people out there who really think that Donald Trump's like, he's going to come out with his final solution and, he's rich, so he's going to make everybody else rich. Anyone who's thinking that is questionable. Very, very questionable. Very, very questionable because I don't see it. You go back to maybe 3 months ago, Donald Trump talks about Baltimore and basically all they produce is rats and drugs and dirty streets. Well, Elijah Cummings represented Baltimore. So, that brought him further back into the line of fire, so to speak. I've got some audio clips that I want to play for you directly from Elijah Cummings. It's not going to be too long, so hopefully it won't bore you to death. But just to remember the man and his significance, especially in the context of what's going on right now. But again, if you haven't got the notice, Democratic Congressman Elijah Cummings has passed away. And I'll tell you what happens next. A$AP Rocky confessed to having a sex addiction. He said he's had a sex addiction ever since he was 13. And you know what? He probably has. And as soon as he said that, I thought to myself, I wonder what happened to A$AP Rocky when he was younger before he got 13. What did he see? Was he traumatized? Was he sexually assaulted? Was he taken advantage of? Was he put in an environment that led to his so-called sex addiction? And this goes back to a point I've made before about addictions. We don't talk enough about it. Well, I'll take that back. We talk about certain addictions. We don't talk about sex addiction and what leads to that. There's a lot of folks around here who I'm just an Aries. I just like sex, and really they got some issues that they're dealing with, and the way it's manifesting itself is in sexual intercourse for whatever reason. And it's hard to break it all the way down because as humans, it could be a billion reasons why. That's one part of it. One part, when I hear somebody saying sex addiction, I think, could be something there, trauma. On the other hand, I think, I hate when men say this shit, man, because it makes it seem like men are just these sexual dogs. And we know we are. Some of us anyway. Especially when you're a younger man and before you get married. Like when you're single, our society, especially hip hop, man, hip hop's got that in our brain cocked and loaded. You're not a man if you're not delivering sexual conquests. Some people say that's toxic masculinity, which leads to this. I've got more thoughts on the new masculinity. We got to talk about that again. But first, I want to turn my attention to something that is happening here locally that we spent some time on. And we were talking about Tamaya Denard's proposal to basically change the way that the human services dollars are dispersed, right? So what does that mean? Well, there were some people that had a problem with the United Way being sort of the point agency on that. Because, well, the United Way, quite honestly, they've got some question marks about their leadership and the culture and things like that. And then secondly, it's like, how can we trust you when people look at the numbers and they feel like the needle isn't really moving? Remember this? Okay, so it goes back maybe a week or so ago. Tamaya Denard was nice enough to call in. She gave us her thoughts on it. It was a 4-4 vote. Jeff Pastor was not there. It was the same day, and it got a lot less attention because, you know, it's a more, I won't say it's more, but for some folks, it's a sensitive issue. But now I'm reading that changes could be coming soon anyway. I'll give you some of the details. Since 2010, the United Way of Greater Cincinnati has administered the process of deciding which organizations receive human services funding from the city. Stop right there. 2010. So for, we'll say 20 years, I'm sorry, take that back. So for 10 years, the United Way of Greater Cincinnati has been the administrator for the process of deciding which nonprofit organizations will receive human services funding from the city. That seems like a very influential position. Critical. Now, there's an advisory committee, and apparently, I guess you would submit an application, and then it would be reviewed. I'm not sure what else in terms of reporting is needed by the United Way. But again, think about it just like this. And you don't have to get all micro with this. You know, we can look at it from a macro standpoint. For those of us who've been paying attention to this, we all know that for years and years and years, the United Way of Greater Cincinnati had a real serious problem when it came to diversity of leadership and diversity of who was making the decisions at the top. How do we know this? Well, we know this because the United Way ran a black man out of town. That's what they did. They ran his ass back to where he was. Yeah. And he was the CEO. He was the CEO. So if the CEO is dealing with this, and we all know that things trickle down, of course, I'm talking about Michael Johnson. If we know things trickle down, how could that kind of mentality not trickle down into the process? How could it not? Just macro it. You don't even have to micro with specific data points. Just macro, common sense. If the head is rotten, then what happens to the body? As simple as that. So that whole thing with Michael Johnson in and of itself, to me, warrants a super, 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 super double check of the United Way and their efficacy to deliver what they're supposed to deliver. I mean, just off the top, no numbers. I'm just saying, just let's talk about just basics. Just basics. They ran that brother out of town, and Michael Johnson was a modern day example of the bullshittery that continues to happen in the city of Cincinnati when it comes to black people that get to a certain level. That's the truth. Brother wasn't from the city, but even if he was, would it have made a difference? Yeah, it would have. But he wasn't. You should be able to come from out of town and have an opportunity in an executive leadership position in the city of Cincinnati and not have to deal with the white female mafia. The truth. Facts. Hashtag facts. So here's what's being reported. So last week, City Council was deadlocked on a proposal to change that. Here's what's happened since then. 3 members have asked for a report on how to remove the United Way from the process and then bring the decision-making back to the city. Okay? So they're not going to give it to a third party or another party. They're going to do it. Perhaps they should do it in-house, which, okay. You know, to me, Isn't this what city council should be doing? I mean, shouldn't the city council be making this decision anyway? I don't know. Some would say they don't have the time and or the expertise. Some would say it becomes highly politicized then. But, and I can see that. Like if city council made these decisions, it would be super politicized. But does that mean that the United Way making the decisions isn't similarly politicized or compromised for whatever reasons that we can't necessarily articulate? Here's a quote from Council Member Tamaya Denard. A lot of the organizations they fund are white-led organizations, but the people who are being served are black. So I would be happy if they would say, well, let's fund more black organizations. And how many times we have to keep asking? Okay, that's another phenomenon that happens here all the time. You go to these nonprofits. The higher you go up, the whiter it gets. It's like the mountains. Higher you go up, the whiter it gets. The lower you go down and you go to the constituents, the majority non-white folks. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? You got some folks in this city, man, that's been making bread, yo. I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year leading these organizations. Ain't doing nothing. Sitting in the office all day, going to meetings, talking about stuff that never really comes to fruition, getting paid. They're getting paid. Meanwhile, the people that the money is supposed to be helping, they're being helped. That's not to say people aren't being helped. But I think the question is, could it be more efficient? That's what the question is. Could it be more efficient? Let's see here. So again, just to remind you, last week, City Council deadlocked on a proposal from Tamaya Denard. Okay, they deadlocked. Jeff Pastor was not there. I don't know how Jeff Pastor might feel about this. What do you think about this? She writes, maybe this is political suicide for me. Maybe you all know something I don't. But what I'm saying is that we can't keep doing the things the same way. I agree with her. I agree with her. David Mann, here's a David Mann quote. We're deciding now that we're taking United Way out of the human service process. We're just asking for a way to do it. Well, I mean, I think if they're going to do that, then of course the city needs to set up their process to make sure they know exactly how they're going to execute it. What's your take on this? Do you trust the United Way? These are your tax dollars. How do you feel they should be dispersed? Who should be in charge of it? Would it make a difference if the city takes over that responsibility from the United Way? Would it make a difference? And what else is there to this story that we don't know? Is there something else that the United Way brings to the table that it's not in any article and we just haven't heard it? I don't know. Maybe you do. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. 513-873-7134. So that's a little bit of movement on the story we talked about just last week. And if you live here in the city of Cincinnati, it does impact you. Does impact you. Good morning to you. If you haven't heard, Representative Elijah Cummings has died at age 68. And he has gone toe-to-toe with the President of the United States since he got in office. And now he has passed away. And I just hope that Trump doesn't do to Elijah Cummings what he's been doing to John McCain. You know, it's funny, man. John McCain was a war hero. I'm not saying John McCain was like my number one prototypical senator or representative, because he was not. We all know it. Can you say MLK Day in Arizona? So the man was far from perfect. But he seemed to have and exemplify all of the qualities that white male Republicans say they love. Like on paper, he's like what people would call an American hero. And even after his death, Donald Trump keeps talking about the man. His daughter is a host on a show called The View. It seems like once a month I come across something where she's like, they just won't stop talking about my dad. What? And the Republicans are just sitting on their hands. It's quite interesting, man. It goes to show you how power works. You know, it goes to show you how power works. When you got power, whether you like it or not, Donald Trump has power. And you see how people will contort themselves. They'll compromise themselves. Normally they would say nothing. They ain't going to say nothing about this because power. They don't want to get on his bad side. They don't want to get primaried. And they want to stay close to the king. Stay close to the king. 513-873-7134. Okay, I'll throw it out to you. I'm about to go out sometime this weekend and buy me some Ohio Kings merchandise. Shout out to Kevin Aldrich. And I saw on Instagram that they got the merchandise in the stores now. I'm going to represent for the homie. And that's a beautiful thing. I can't wait to go to some of the games, man. I'm looking forward to it. I will be there. Get my Ohio King. I'm going to give my daughter one, too, because she loves sweatshirts. Daddy, get me a sweatshirt. There's something about it. You know, we all went through that phase, I guess. What's up with Steve Shabbat's campaign? Steve Shabbat paid his former manager $57,000 for unknown purposes. You know, there was about $100 and something thousand plus that just, I don't know. We don't know where it is during the Shabbat campaign. You know, audits after the election. And I just got to bring this back to home to Avtab Porval because there was people out there, black people, that was running around on the internet, calling to this show. Oh, my God, it was the worst thing ever. How can we trust you? The sky is falling. Oh. They ain't got nothing to say now. This is a larger sum of money. Steve Shabbat is a creature from the Black Lagoon. He literally looks like it. And, you know, his policies, I just don't jive with him. I don't jive with him. His silence on Trump, I don't jive with it. I'm sorry. And now money is missing. Then he paid his former manager $57,000 and nobody knows why. There's a lot of question marks. I'll dig into that as well this morning. Must get into it. Oh, dear Lord, what happened? Oh, he spent some campaign. He was supposed to put it for this campaign, but he used it for that campaign. Remember this? Coles, they tried to make the biggest deal about it. It was all about the election. It was all about winning the election, nothing more than that. Some people already knew it. Some people, they fell into it. You know what? Those were the rules. Those are the rules. What? Something big is happening today. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Starting today, Ohio's legal smoking age is 21 years of age. You got to be 21 years of age to smoke in Ohio. It takes effect today. Remember the campaign was tobacco 21? So now the age of purchase has now raised when it comes to cigarettes and tobacco products and also alternative nicotine products. Used to be you could be 18, now you got to be 21. And you know what people are going to say? Oh, well, you can die for your country, but you can't buy a cigarette? Governor Mike DeWine, white male Republican, said that research shows that 95% of adult smokers began smoking before they turned 21. I'm on with it. I mean, we already know inhaling anything into your lungs is bad for your lungs. We already know this. But it's not just about the smoking. Man, you know how many people do dip? Yeah. I mean, people be out in the party with a bit. I mean, I have been out. People looking good, smelling good. And you look over, this dude's got a big old knot in his lip, right in his mouth. It's damn dip. He's spitting into a cup, laughing with his buddies at a party. That shit ain't sexy. There's nothing sexy about that. It smells nasty. Y'all know everybody or ever been around somebody that does the whole dip thing, spit into a cup all day? You can't come to my house with that. I'm sorry. Leave your cup outside. Leave your cup along with your dogs. Your dogs are not coming in my house either. Just telling you, you don't bring your dog to my house. You're going to be mad as hell at me because you're not coming in. We'll just sit on the porch and talk. I got a couple chairs sit out there. It's really comfortable. Men on average lose 13 years of their life from smoking. Did you know that? Women lose 14 years on average from smoking. And it's, I guess if people want to do it, you got the right to do what you want to do. Is this a good policy? I would say when I say good, is this going to be effective? Let me think here. It will prevent people from getting it. Some kids won't be able to get it. And you're not really a kid, but if you're 19 years old, depending on who you are, if you really want to get your hands on some cigarettes or nicotine products and an adult, somebody that's 22 or something, you can get it. Now, there'll be some people who are not yet 21 who won't be able to get it because they don't know anyone who will actually make that purchase for them. But we all know where there's a will, there's a way. And cigarettes are so prolific, man, that this might open up an underground economy on the low. You never know. But I've seen people stand outside of some of these like liquor stores, convenience stores, or gas stations and asking older people to buy them cigarettes. I've seen them do it. Like, okay, I got you. Don't smoke them all at the same time. A first offense is a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. The clerk is subject to no more than 30 days in jail. So you can get 30 days in jail if you're the clerk and you sell cigarettes to somebody. These clerks are not going to jail for you. You're not going to go to jail for you. So I think that anything that is about health is ultimately a good thing. Like if you go into like some of these gas stations, everything behind the counter is nothing but like smoking and nicotine products and things like that. Getting yourself some blunts, some papers. They got all kind of flavors and colors and all kind of stuff. Dutch, Optimo. What else do I see here? King. You got to have King, right? Is this a good policy in your opinion? How you think it affected your community? All right. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. And I want to greet the choppers. Let's get straight into it, everybody. What did you think about the interview yesterday with Steve Meagerly? Yeah, he was on the show yesterday for about 50 minutes, nearly an hour. I thought it was very revealing. I listened back to it. And if you have not heard that interview and you're thinking about voting for school board, you should listen to that interview first. I think it's probably the most revealing interview that he's done. And you're going to get a chance, a sense of who he is. And not just what he believes in, the policies, but what he's been doing. Check that out. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a member of the school board on as well. Let me double check here, just make sure I can confirm this. And he's going to be on at approximately 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. And this particular candidate, man, has made the news. Yeah, made the news a little bit because of an organization that he is connected with. Yeah, I'm talking about Ben Lindy. So we'll talk with Ben Lindy tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. approximately. Let me see here. Okay, appreciate that. Okay, great. Ben Lindy for CPS, school board. Have you ever heard of, well, I'll save it. We'll get into it. Let me see. Let me go back to your chat. Let me greet the choppers this morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Magnanimous King. Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the show. Tiffany's in the house. She writes hi. Hey, good morning to you, Tiffany. Cincy Tigress is in the house. She writes good morning. Good morning to you, Cincy Tigress. Pat writes good morning. Ashley writes good morning, Nathan, and the choppers. Great show yesterday, Nathan. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Tanika writes good morning, Nathan, and the choppers. Ray writes grand risings all. Man, I got some news in the last 24 hours. I want to share it with you. Quite interesting. Things are happening here. Renee writes good morning. Fame writes Rothstein is here. Alt middle remains for the children. That's good to hear. Because yesterday you was on the dumb-ish. Serenthi writes morning. Brian writes morning. CG Dub writes good morning, choppers. TGIT. Okay, yeah, because Thursday's the new Friday. Doesn't it feel like the weekend is coming? You can almost smell it. I can feel it. It's the weekend. Looking forward to it. Although I got a 7-day, 24-hour schedule now, so it don't really make a difference. Mason Marler writes, morning day in the choppers, R.I.P. to Elijah Cummings. Absolutely. I gave a moment of silence early on in the show if you missed it. R.I.P. Magnanimous King writes, who's stepping in this spot? I'll tell you what's going to happen next. TNT writes, good morning. She writes, rest in power. Yeah, that's the way to say it. Rest in power. Absolutely. Mike Jones writes, good morning, choppers. Bunky writes, what's up, Nate and Choppers? I've got a chance to dig a little deeper into that whole LeBron James situation, and LeBron James is the one who's misinformed. LeBron James, his shoe is manufactured in China. So do you think he has a vested interest? What is it, the LeBron 17s or 19s or something like that? I've only had one pair of LeBrons, and believe me, it was like 2 or 3 years later. I caught them on the sale rack. They work just fine. Matter of fact, I still got them now. Not my favorite, actually, but they do the job. Magnanimous writes, the Lakers are looking very dangerous. If they can stay healthy, they could set a new regular season winning record at 77-5 is my prediction, but I'm not a betting man. You know what, Magnanimous? At this point, LeBron's what, year 19, year 17, something like that? Man, please. They don't really care about the regular season. The regular season is just about getting the car tuned up and then finding a good placement in the playoffs. That's when you really show out. But we shall see. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. And I ain't trying to speak nothing into existence because you know I roll with LeBron. He's the son of Ohio. I'm a son of Ohio. I'm worried about injury. I'm worried about that 34-year-old man making it through a whole season playing the way I see him play right now. Point guard? Could be a problem. Could be a problem. We shall see. Sister V writes, morning, unfortunately, we lost a freedom fighter. Elijah Cummings. Absolutely, yep. Rest in power. Deborah writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, young stars. Tracy writes, hi. Good to see everybody. She writes, sad to hear about Mr. Cummings. Yes, it is. Jared, good morning to you. He writes, good morning. Hashtag team and I. Appreciate that, Jared. Welcome. Tracy writes, how long is Black Lion on lockout? Asking for a fan. I don't know, about a year or so, maybe. I think we'll check back with him about this time next year. Something like that. Oki writes, when it's time for the United Way to allocate money specifically for Black Americans, you will be next. We're donating to urban minority and Black and brown nonprofits, and too many of us sit back and watch our issues be pushed back and smothered by other groups who don't F with us off top. Well, let me stop right there, man. I've been in situations where, like, I'm on the job, and the job that I'm doing is doing like a United Way donation thing. They make a big old thing about it, right? I mean, I'm not going to say it was mandatory, but they make a big old thing about it and how if we get 100% participation, something special is going to happen. We have a pizza party or some ish like that. Do you have a similar experience? So you got people on certain jobs, maybe say nonprofits, that damn near feel pushed into donating to the United Way, only to give it to an organization that the higher you go up, the whiter it gets. And when you talk to who their actual constituency is, the people supposed to be served, they're primarily non-white folks. That don't make no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's actually, the more I think about it, it's actually an effing problem, to be honest with you. Like, if we're really serious about getting the best out of our human services dollars, then city council has no choice. They don't have no choice but to do a review on the process to see if it works. You have no choice. If you're serious about helping the homeless, if you're serious about helping people that can't help themselves, if you're serious about helping people that are dealing with poverty issues, right? You know, lack of resources, born into a situation where there's lack of resources. If you care about any of that, then the least you can do is a review of the process that's supposed to be delivering services to all those people. It's the least you can do. And what has the United Way done recently that garners all this damn respect? What have they done? I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure it's a lot. And I'm sure that you're going to see some more black-led organizations start to get money. It'll hit the paper. All that stuff's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Just like we knew that some black people was going to be on that executive leadership team. I told you. Of course, that's how the game goes. They put a little pressure on you. You're just like, yeah, you're right. And then you go and you get somebody that'll appease everybody, at least on the surface. We see it over and over again. Mike Jones writes, United Way played Michael Johnson with that racist ish. Council should take the allocation power away from the United hoax. From the United hoax? That's hilarious. That is hilarious. United hoax. I'm not going to say that they're a hoax. That's your opinion. Okay, I respect it. But my opinion is I'm not going to say they're going to hoax. I'm not saying that I've got the numbers to back up that the United Way isn't doing it efficiently. What I'm saying is I see smoke with that whole Michael Johnson thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If the head is rotten, how could the body be well? And if you're serious about what I said earlier about those things, that the least that council can do is a review to see if there's a better way. That's it. And if you're a supporter of the United Way or you work for United Way, you should have no problem with that. You should have no problem with that. Now, the challenge for the United Way is they need to get their communications team together and get out here in the community and let people know what they're doing on a more regular basis. That's also a part of it. They're paying all these people to be in their communications department. I bet if you go to the communications department at the United Way, they easily shelling out probably at least $200,000 on salaries and benefits. Put it to work. If you're doing a lot of good work, get out there and tell people. And then people will know. It's real simple. How many people ever work for a nonprofit or an organization here and they bring you into a room like, you know what, it's United Way time. Oh, if we can get 100% participation, we're going to have a pizza party or something else. I forget what the incentive was. But I remember working on jobs where they was pushing you 100% participation, 100% participation. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why I ain't giving these? I don't know these people. Who are these people? Where's the money going? Yeah. They never say anything to you if you're that guy either. Because I've been that guy. I swear to God I have. And don't give a damn. We ain't going to get 100% participation this time. Unless we just going to round it up. 99.997. You know what? Nate's on some BS. Go ahead and give us those 0.3 of a percent so we can get 100% participation. I'm sure the United Way is doing a lot of work, but we don't know it. That's a problem. Get out there. What's the use of having a communications team if people don't feel like they're communicating? I don't know. Something to think about. Clue Magic's in the house. Good morning, Nate and the Choppers. He writes, good to see you, Clue. Cincy Tigers writes, I had a payroll deduction coming out for UW. No more. I'd rather physically give to my cause than just trust what they're doing with my little monies. You know it. You know it. Why not? Why not? Now, this is the United Way's fault. The way that black people perceive them is their fault because of what happened with Michael Johnson and a lack of real and effective leadership at the top. It's their fault. Had they treated that brother better and also was being more effective and visibly more diverse in their leadership, people wouldn't be saying this. It's their fault. I didn't fire Michael Johnson. I didn't bring him here from Nashville and then send him back home packing. They did that. So I'm not going to shed no tears for him. I'm sure they do great work. I'm sure they do. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I'm sure they do. I want to think positively. Deborah writes, the way United Way allocates monies has been a joke for years. I hope the city does, in fact, take over his process. That's the United Way's fault. Where's Ross Meyer? He's the interim CEO. Has he done any interviews? Is he out in the community? You know, they going over to their little golden palace on Reading Road. They making these executive salaries, working for a quote unquote non-profit. You know what it is. You know what it is. So again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the review. I said the same thing about the Center for Closing the Health Gap. There's nothing. You getting city dollars, then open the door so we can see what's going on, period. Black, white, it makes no difference. You getting our dollars. There's no problem with the review. The problem becomes when you start reviewing just the black-led organizations. They're on TV and the radio and the news all the time. Meanwhile, the United Way over here making crazy bread, man. I told you the former CEO was making like 350, nearly 400,000. I might be underestimating that dollars a year. What the hell? What? He must have been a rich dude that was connected to rich folks that was bringing the cash in. That's the only way I can see that being justifiable in the least. How you going to be the head of a nonprofit making $400,000 a year in a city of Cincinnati and you supposed to be dispersing money to the poverty stricken? Something's not right about that. Something's not right about that. Let me see nonprofit salaries. Look at it right now. Nonprofit salaries. Yeah, because every year the local media, and I can't remember, I think it's like WCPO, they do like it might be Cincinnati.com, they do like a nonprofit salary, story. And, people were like, wow, I didn't know you could make that much money doing nonprofit. No. Hold on one second. See, nonprofit. Look this up right now. Hold on. I remember the stories. They do this like once a year. See here. And it just, wow. It's like your jaw just drops. Your jaw just drops. Let me see here. As while I'm working on that, let me go back to your chat here. I see Mason Mullins in the house. He writes, so are you, Tracy, and you off the chain. I'm not sure what I'm talking about there. I'm jumping in midstream. Angela's in the house. She writes, salutations. Fame writes, I started using dip 18 months ago. Started when I was 17. The only drawback of playing baseball, peer pressure. If you like baseball, you understand. He said he stopped using dip 18 months ago. Really? Damn. Yeah, that dip thing, man. Again, I ain't going to go on about it because you just said you do it, but that dip thing, bro, man. Renee writes, have you heard his commerce? I'm not sure what you mean, Renee. Angela writes, really? The city council was better at dispersing monies to the Negroes? The same city council is permitting gentrification to the Negroes? That's interesting. Well, I don't know if they'll be best, but I do think that falls into their wheelhouse of responsibility. And if city council is claiming that United Way can't do it, then rather than grab some other agency or it should fall on them. I think Donnie B called in and made this point. Like, if they're going to do this, okay, great. Make sure you got a plan in place. Don't just change it and then you're scrambling to try to get it together. And, if you're going to do all that, keep it like it is. But I'm down for a review for sure. Ben writes, Tracy writes, I like being entertained, Mason. Oh, you talking about Black Lion. Okay. Ben writes, morning choppers, get that bag. Bunky writes, I drew blood in Selma. Cam writes, good morning, peace. Good morning, peace? Brian writes, why did LBJ have to say anything? Pick your battles. That's a really good question. I think LBJ is saying that because his shoes are manufactured in China. And so he's also one of the biggest names. So I think he said that to try to soften the blow. Because like I said, as soon as Daryl Morey said that, and it really goes to show you something about how money works. So the United States is the NBA, the National Basketball Association, wants to have an impact in China. They've got this huge market. millions of people, and they love basketball. They love Western basketball. You ever heard of Chinese Iverson? That's a real thing. They got something called the Chinese Basketball League or Chinese Basketball Association is what I think it is. And they have partnerships with the National Basketball Association. They have their own league. And one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest stars, is a guy who they call Chinese Iverson, like Allen Iverson, Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not making it up. He's tight with the handles. And so what it sounds like is that the NBA has entered a basically no-fly zone agreement with China, meaning that we're just going to keep it on basketball. Sure, you can dominate your people. You can kill and kidnap people and put them in re-education camps and crack down religious freedoms, and you can't get anything from the Western democracies except for basketball. That's all good. You know, run your country where you want to. We just want to have a relationship with you when it comes to basketball because it benefits us. And oh, by the way, we're going to manufacture some of our Nike shoes in your country because of the incredible low wages, because you can't have unions. So this is just business. And LeBron James is a businessman. He wants to be an NBA owner one day. So he's putting that in front of everything else. Because to me, it's a contradiction. I mean, my thing is this. If you have a moral objection about China, then don't work with them on any levels. Don't work with them at all. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that these non-governmental entities that have international transactions like the National Basketball Association, that they could potentially have a democratizing effect on China. Even if the relationship starts on commerce, it's a relationship. And then perhaps some of these Western values can bleed into the Chinese political and social culture. But the Chinese ain't feeling that. I mean, I've heard those arguments over the years, but we have to wait and see. To me, LeBron James just doubled down on the money. That's what happened. And how can you talk about, I mean, I don't know, maybe you feel differently, but to me, it seems like a contradiction. Like on one hand, you're all about freedom of speech in America and you got your rights. And I mean, hell, you started a media company called Uninterrupted because you felt like the players need a voice. So you believe in the voice and the power of the internet, except when it comes to where you make your shoes. Hey, it's another country. We don't want to get involved. We don't understand the history and all this kind of other stuff. No, LeBron, we do understand the history and we understand what's going on. He's in it for the money. You know, and this goes back to what I said about Tyler Perry. Everybody is congratulating Tyler Perry right now. But the way he built that empire was with Medea. So, which is more important? You know, is it more important for LeBron James to take a stance against China? Or is it more important that in 10 or 15 years from now, probably earlier than that, he becomes an NBA owner, right? Second African-American born NBA player to own a team behind Michael Jordan. And now he's got to say so. And if that ever happens, if LeBron ever gets to the point where he owns a team, nobody's going to be talking about what he said about Daryl Morey and China and Hong Kong and democracy protests. Nobody's going to say a word. People are going to just say, oh, he did it. And it's like history's going to start right there and move on. Nobody's sitting around like, man, bump Tyler Perry. He made that studio using with the Medea movies. Nobody's saying that except for me. Nobody's saying that. It's just like, oh, he's successful now. History starts right here. We move forward. Brian writes, it's preseason. No one is playing hard, LOL. They are playing hard. Them boys out there playing hard. Some of them are. If you're trying to make the team or you're trying to show your coach that maybe you should be a starter or you're fighting with somebody else for minutes, those guys are playing hard. The stars, they're playing hard in spurts. So you're right on some levels. Let me see. Bunky writes, when LeBron pulled off that tacky press conference in Miami, I was looking at him. Lakers ain't winning jack. LeBron is too old. AD is glass. Never happening. Now the Clippers are going to be a problem. You might be right. I'd be right. 34 is old to be playing basketball. That's a young man's game. Like, if you 34 on the court, you do not have the same stamina typically. You do not have the same stamina as 24 on the court. Now, there are some 34-year-olds out there balling that's in much better shape, much more win, much more whatever than a 24-year-old. But at the end of the day, the difference is your snapback ability. That's the difference. I think the major thing that I remember about playing ball and then getting older was when I was younger, man, I could go to the gym and pay 3-4 hours straight and then get a phone call or back then and get a message or whatever on my pager. And I would go back the very next day and play 2-3 hours, nothing. It was nothing to it. Man, when I got to my 30s, bruh, once a week was cool. And I was taking ibuprofen before I started to play. That was the old school trick. You don't take the ibuprofen afterward. You take it before you play. Seriously. So that's where LeBron's going to get it. He can't snap back like a 25-year-old. Your body just don't work that way. I don't care how many hyperbaric chambers. I don't care if you're doing the cryogenic therapy like Antonio Brown. You can do that in Cincinnati right now if you want to do that. I've seen people in Cincinnati doing it. Like you go into like the super, whatever, cold, what I would call it, and you step into it and you can't see your body except for your head, and you're getting like this super cold therapy. That's for athletes. That's not for like, you know what, let's go to OTR, get some super cold cryotherapy. That's for athletes trying to recover. You know, that's why you saw Jordan and Pippen when they got older. After they iced the game, what were they doing? Icing. That's to help the body recover. And that's what happens when you get older. Can LeBron physically go out there for 10 or 15, 20 minutes a night and dominate? Yeah. The other thing that happens when you're playing ball is you just don't want to jump that high no more. Because when you come down, it feels a little different. You know what I'm saying? You're on a break. You somebody at 22. Psh, you don't even touch the ground, man. You're like the Greek god Nike. Literally, you're like floating on air. You don't even feel the hardwood. You get into your early 30s and you take maybe a break and try to come back, man. You try to go up and somebody. When you hit the ground, your knees are like, why did you do this? Ankles cracking. Oh, man, but it's life, man. It's life. See, Angela writes, trying to reach out to Jenna Bradley and having her come on to discuss. Thank you. Tracy writes, a year? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. You talking about Black Lion? Oh, yeah. I told him that, man. I'm not here to be disrespected and called him by my name. I don't get it in the morning to hear that. I don't want to deal with it. And clearly his maturity level is not where it needs to be. So from time to time, and it's becoming more and more rare, you know, I've enjoyed our conversations, but enough is enough. How long are we going to keep on doing all that? Enough is enough. Renee writes, have you heard Measley's campaign commercial targeted to the Black community? MLK quotes and all. It's so sad. Somebody told me about it. Now, somebody told me about it. I have not heard it. But again, Steve, if you're listening, hell no. Hell no. You shouldn't be on no damn school board. Not right now. Like maybe once you go to a few meetings and actually make an investment. But right now, my spider sense is saying hell to the no. But we all have to make our own decisions. You know what I'm saying? MLK quotes. You doing MLK quotes. Is that what he doing? That's because he ain't got no real connection with the community. His only connection with the community is Jeff Pastor. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, I asked the man. And Steve had plenty of time to have his side put out there. But I was not impressed by what I heard. I got to be real with you. Not even a little bit. I was actually depressed. I asked this man, so tell me about some of the Black organizations or causes or whatever. This man told me he's got Black neighbor. Enough said. And that's relatively small on the list compared to what we heard yesterday. I'm sorry. If you don't have no educational background, and did you hear this man's response? I asked him what his education background was. He told me that his parents were college professors. Unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. No, B, what have you done in the education system? Not your degrees. Hell. That's like, so my wife has a doctorate in education right now. That's like my daughter getting older, running for office. They ask her, so she runs for school board. They ask her, so what's your education background? She says, well, my mother has a doctorate in education. So what? What's that mean? Nothing. Oh, man. Some people can be so easily fooled, though. I don't think anybody's going to be fooled by Steve, though. That was very obvious. I'm looking forward to talking to all these school board members. I really am. I think it's going to be very interesting. I want to get a chance to sense of who these individuals are. And I'll let you know when the interviews come down. You can check it out. Again, tomorrow I'll be speaking with Ben Lindy. And again, I'm going to tell you off the top, I ain't going to ask him the same questions I asked Steve. So we can take that off the board. Why aren't you asking the same question? Because he's not Steve. He's Ben Lindy. Now, there will be some consistency in terms of as it directly relates to their policies and some things that need to be discussed about CPS in general. But Ben Lindy has an education background, so I don't need to ask him that. I already know. Just like I already knew the answer to Steve when I asked him as well. So, but that opens the door now because you got it. That opens the door for us to go some different places with Mr. Lindy. So if you're interested in that race, please check it out. That conversation will be tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Again, I just want you to have as many interviews, as many forums as you can attend and or watch is better. Because then you can take it all together and just make a profile for what you need to make the best decision. Don't just go off my interviews. Listen to all the interviews. Go to all the forums as much as possible and get a sense of who they are. Because sometimes people act differently in different environments. That's the other thing. And I guarantee you when Steve goes on 700 WOW 55 KRC, they're not going, Brian Thomas, the wackest talk show host in Cincinnati, maybe. Yeah, he is. He's not going to ask him the kind of question I asked him because they're going to, I don't think he has that mentality. So we'll see. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. MLK quotes, huh? Let me go to Mr. Steve's website right now and see if I can see what the hell. MLK quotes. Again, somebody told me about it just yesterday. I'm like, really? Trilly? MLK, huh? Oh, that's funny. That is hilarious. So many things to talk about this morning. So let me go back to your chat, though. Angela writes, the city can't raise up 5K kids or 10K kids. That's 5,000 or 10,000 families from the Child Poverty Collaborative, but they can figure out UW funding. Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, as I said, if city council is going to make this decision and they're going to pull the responsibility from the United Way, then they should have a plan in place and a systems, won't be just one, but systems in place to make sure that they can smoothly deal with that, right? Rather than giving it to, instead of the United Way, who would be the next lead agency to do something like that? And that was all, now we understanding that Mayor Cranley, that was all just politics. I'm going to list 5,000, but we knew it was politics back then. We said it. We knew that then. This city tricks off more money than a little bit. Yes, it does. I believe that to be true. Marlon's in the house. He writes, good morning. Tracy writes, speaking of money, it was said on CNN that Uncle Joe's campaign only has $9 million left in the spot. Meanwhile, President Satan is blowing $40 million a month. A milli. Yeah, Uncle Joe, I don't think Uncle Joe gonna make it. I think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I think it's going to end up being Elizabeth Warren. Because Uncle Joe's fading fast. Uncle Bernie's fading fast. Uncle Bernie's 8? Just coming off heart attack. Let's be real here. And I just did a podcast yesterday, another Hot Mic podcast, and it'll be out later today. Matter of fact, I got a lot of podcasts coming out today. But the conversation came up about the presidential debates and who you think is going to win. And before that conversation, I looked at the numbers. We talked about it yesterday. Let's be real here. Unless there is something that happens, and in the world of social media, things can happen overnight, just like that. Anything can happen between now and, let's say, even 2020, right? Or 2020, not 2000, but 2020. Which is less than 2 months away. Anything can happen in the new America. We know that. But something that we would define as anything, as I was just saying, something that could happen, that could catapult, I don't know, who's next in the polls? Pete Buttigieg or Tulsi Gabbard. Looking at their poll numbers, and I'm not telling you that I think that's the best way to decide if they're good candidates, because I do not. No, I have a lot of doubts about the efficacy of these polls. But that's what the Democratic Party and the world is going to be using. So let's talk about it. If you look at the polls, this is a 3-person race and really a 2-person race. That's just a case of it. You look at all the major polls, maybe one or here, notwithstanding. You got Warren, Biden, and Bernie. Those are your top 3 candidates. You can say what you want to say about these other folks, Kamala, Those are VP materials. Okay? So those are your top 3 statistically. If nothing changes, the Democrat nominee is going to be one of those 3. We don't have to keep going around in circles. Who's it going to be? That's who it's going to be. It's going to be Biden, Warren, or Sanders. Biden, I don't think is going to make it. Bernie, I don't think is going to make it. I think it's going to be Warren. This is what I'm seeing right now. And that means that Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, all these folks that bring different, David Yang, all these people that bring different and perhaps unique things, they've said things here or there, they're VP material. They're VP material, and they are cabinet material. That's what they are. And that's just what it is. And we can hem and haw and go back and forth, but those are your choices. Bernie, Warren, that's if you're going, I'm speaking strictly about the Democrat process, like third party and then a larger general election. I mean, you're going to have Donald Trump as an option. You're going to have at least 2 third party candidates that'll be an option. So maybe somebody might vote third party or vote for Trump. But in terms of the Democrat nominee, that's what's going to be. Biden, Warren, Sanders. That's who it is. After that, there's a big cutoff statistically, a big drop, like 25% drop. And I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, could something happen with Pete Buttigieg? Something happen spectacular where, I don't know, he's in a situation, he saves a kid, he goes viral, he saves a woman. Wait a minute. Like that scene from take you way back, from the scene from Blade. Remember the scene from Blade? When he first met face to face with the arch nemesis, remember that? He had that little girl, and he threw the girl into the traffic, and Blade was running faster than light. I know you don't remember. If Pete Buttigieg or somebody else has a moment like that and goes viral, that might catapult them back into significance, right? Or let's say that Warren stumbles. Let's say that Bernie stumbles. Let's say Warren stumbles. But barring that, that's what's going to happen. And it is what it is at this point. Angela writes, I am a member of the Herbert R. Brown Society donated to UW, and I'm involved with following the money, but I respect people's right to not support what they don't understand. Funky writes, Snacks in Ben Simmons. Okay, talking inside baseball there. Let me see. Angela writes, Free Black Lion, Free Black Russia. Lawrence writes, the game is black-led. What does that really mean? Well, I've asked the same question, Lawrence, because if you go to the United Way's website right now, it's on the left-hand side on the main page. They're touting, their efforts for Black-led organizations. Now, and I know they recently had a meeting about that as well. I was not in attendance. Tracer Race, I got to go to this warehouse and prepare for this huge audit. I hear there is this big ass snake in the warehouse. Y'all pray for me. What? Snake in a warehouse? Snake in a warehouse? Is that a metaphor? Snake in the warehouse. You mean literally? Be careful. Brian writes, I thought LBJ couldn't do anything wrong in your eyes, Nate. I don't know why you thought that. Not the first time I criticized LBJ, and it probably won't be the last. No, I just like the fact that he's a son of Ohio. That's what I'm being honest with you. I like the fact that he's a son of Ohio, and for years and years and years, people used to hate on him. So I told you I'm an underdog type guy. I like to go for the underdogs. I saw him as an underdog. And but this BS that he's talking about with China, purely about money and position and power and privilege and keeping your relationships. My thing is, what NBA fans need to be asking themselves, and this is what the sports media is doing a good job of shielding you from. What the NBA fans should be asking themselves is, should you continue to support a league that does business with a communist regime? That's the real question. But they've been real clever about not putting that out there and staying away from it. They want to make it about LeBron and Daryl Morey. No, mofo. The real question is, I don't like who you rolling with. So why should I roll with you? That's every NBA fan should ask themselves that. Like I told you, these sports conglomerates were not set up to save the world. The NFL that was not comprised to save the world. The NBA was not comprised to save the world. They're selling you entertainment. That's what it is. Now, if they can do some social good and do that, they'll do that. They'll do that. NBA cares for kids and putting up basketball hoops and donating money and stuff like that. They will do all of that. But at the end of the day, the 30-plus billionaires and 100 millionaires that comprise the ownership are in it to make money. The way you make money is to expand your brand. And they want to expand their brand into China. They've got 1 billion people. And they love American, or should I say Western, so-called basketball. They love it. So that's what the NBA is going to do. None of them are saints. I'm sure they all individually as players do a lot of good stuff. But as an organization, they're going for the dollars. If China says, mind your own damn business, that's what they're going to do to keep that relationship going, because there's money to be made. In 20 years, the NBA wants to be international. They don't want to just expand into new cities in America. They want to expand their brand across the world. That's what their whole point is. They want to dominate the globe. It's called scale. You want to scale up, and that's how you do it. You form relationships, sometimes with unsavory characters or people that are doing things that you don't completely agree with. And when money's involved and power's involved, you know what people do? They say, yeah, we can overlook that, because they're going to get something out of it. And that's how people are. That's how this world works, whether you like it or not. Nathan, not peace as in I'm out of here, but peace as in salutations. Yeah, I caught it. I caught it afterward. LeBron has always been contradicting from how he chooses his activism to his jumping of teams, to backstabbing teammates and coaches, to his having no hairline and wearing do-rags. Huh? Yeah, the last time, remember, LeBron was running around here with a Can't Breathe t-shirt on, which was great. Brother got choked out. Got choked out by a police officer on the streets of New York. But he was relatively silent when it came to the case of Tamir Rice. Didn't say a word. He didn't wear a Tamir Rice t-shirt. You know why? It was too close to home. It was easier for him to stage a protest by being a player in Cleveland than it was to do it in New York. He only had to go to New York once or twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. He's got home games, 3, 4, 5 a month. The Cleveland police probably do security at the arena up there. So now you're going to come out and wear your Tamir Rice support T-shirt and Cleveland police are there. That becomes more difficult. He shied away from it. Truth. Good morning, Fame. Let me see. Cam writes, Nathan, dip is the new masculinity. No, it's not. No, it's not. Dip causes cancer, man. You can get throat cancer and lip cancer. You know, you can get all kind of stuff, man, but you already know that. The thing about that dip, as I understand it, is it's not just the dip itself. It's all the other chemicals and stuff they put into it. They can have a disastrous effect. So I'm glad to hear Fame stop, man. That's great. Yeah, I mean, you know, every day is a new day. You can stop at any time. You don't have to keep doing the same old stuff. So, you know, I respect you for that, man. I hope you keep it up, brother. For your own health. Your own health, man. Tracy writes, Bernie is out. Yeah, Bernie's out. Tracy said it. Yeah, Bernie's out. He's out. Sometimes it's not your time. Sometimes it's not your time. And I think Bernie's time, unfortunately, the Democrat Party stole it from him. The DNCCC stole it from him. And that's the party that was in control of like the primaries, the Democrats, the debates. They were in the bag for Hillary. They felt like somebody over there felt like Hillary was just her time after Obama. See, Hillary 8 years before that, she thought she was going to be president. And then this black guy stole her show. This man of color showed up out of nowhere with this crazy name, this eerily easy to remember. And it was a wrap. It was a wrap. He came in and stole her show. So I guess the Democrats were like, oh, we feel for you, Hillary. You know what? Run again whenever Obama's out, 8 years, and we'll have you back. And that's what they did. And they robbed Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders supporters with that nonsense. And that was probably Bernie's best chance because of his age. So Bernie's out. Biden, I think Biden he ain't got it. He does not have it. Now, here's the question. Here's the most relevant question. And again, I don't disrespect anybody that votes third party. If you vote third party, okay, great, you voting. That's your choice. People say, oh, you're going to take away from the Democrats and Republicans. There's something to that, but it doesn't matter. You got the opportunity to do what you want to do and vote how you want to vote. Can Elizabeth Warren beat Trump? That's the question. And who does she need as her running mate in order to do it? That's the number one question. Biden's out. He's sinking like a rock. He didn't look too good in that last debate to me. And Bernie's out. I'm sorry. I mean, we was already a stretch, bruh. Now you just had open heart surgery or some kind of surgery. No. It's going to be Elizabeth Warren. Who should be her running mate in order to give her the best chance at beating Trump? I think that's what the question is. And those other candidates, it could be one of those candidates. There was an article that was floating around last week that suggested, and tell me what you think about this, that suggested that Elizabeth Warren was courting Andrew Gillum. It's the brother that ran for governor down in Florida. Elizabeth Warren for president, VP Andrew Gillum. I mean, what you think? That's what I read. That was like an incredible, like new, I think it was from like Politico or something like that. I just remember it being a credible source. Tell me what you think. The question is not who the nominee is going to be. Let's stop fooling ourselves. We know it's going to be one or three people. And two of those people don't have momentum. One of them do. Okay? Who should be her running mate? to give her the best chance to beat Trump? Or does it not matter? Does it not matter like, oh, Elizabeth Warren can't beat Trump no matter what? Or does it not matter that it doesn't really matter who her running mate is? Have no significance in how people vote. I don't think that's true. I think her running mate can, because look at what John McCain did with Sarah Palin. He blew his own deal with that one. Sarah Palin? Start talking about being able to see the coast of Russia from Alaska and all this other nonsense. Coming across like an absolute imbecile. Like she just wasn't ready for prime time. And I think that helped to thankfully sink his battleship. But tell me what you think. Pam writes, I still think Biden will get the nod. Okay. No, not a real big ass black snake. Wasn't that the name of a Sam Jackson movie? Something about a black snake. Mike Jones writes, you are so right, and Nate, the way the United hoax treated Michael Johnson says everything. Well, for me, it was quite interesting, and it was quite telling to me. The way, because again, if that's what's going on at the top, then how could, I won't say the bottom, but how could it not filter down and impact every aspect of the United Way? Not sure what just happened there. Hey, Fame, I think you were coming on the line, man. Just call me right back there. I'm not sure what happened. What was the first criticism? Oh, I just told you. I mean, listen, I'm nobody's. The only fanboy that I am is of the people that I live with and the people that I work with. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not a bandwagoner. And I like LeBron because he used to take a lot of heat before he won his championships. People was hating on him, and he was the son of Ohio. I like an underdog. That's it. And so, again, even with LeBron, so you got to mix this. So on one hand, LeBron basically is, trying to protect his bag. When it comes to China, he's trying to protect his bag because his shoes are manufactured over there. He wants to keep the cost of production down because that could potentially increase the amount of profits he can put in his pockets at the end of the day. I'm interested in knowing how much money per shoe does LeBron James get. That'd be interesting. But again, you got to mix that with the fact of look at what he's doing with his school. He's got this great LeBron James Academy. They're doing big things. So it just goes to show you, man. I mean, people aren't all any or one thing. People are very complex. She writes, he better stay hidden. It's funny. Cam writes, Walmart is the new China. USA is the new China as well, really. Magnanimous writes, I stopped smoking cigarettes cold turkey 3 years ago. Best decision I ever made. Glad to hear it. So you've been smoking since you're about 17 years old, but you stopped though. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters. And from what I've read is the day you stop smoking, your body, your lungs start to regenerate, start to heal, right? Because your body wants to be healthy. Your body wants to be healthy. So that's a great thing. You can start to recover some of your lung capability. That's smoking cigarettes, man. Like I told you, when I got into an Uber once, and I could tell this woman had just put out a cigarette, I was so mad. I was mad as hell. I couldn't get out the place fast enough. I hit up Uber and told him, like, look, how am I getting your car into a plume of smoke? I don't smoke. Secondhand smoke. It was just so disrespectful. But it is what it is. TNT writes, Warren Harris, Warren Booker. He writes, that works too. Warren Harris, Warren Booker, or Warren Gillum. Which is the best tandem to beat Trump? Warren Harris, Warren Booker. Well, let's do this then. Which is better, Warren Booker or Warren Gillum, for whatever reason? Which is you think is a more winning combo? One is a senator, the other lost a race as a governor. I would say Warren Booker. Well, because he's a sitting senator with all of the contacts and infrastructure that it takes to become a sitting U.S. senator. So he can put that in place. Gillum just lost the race, but people like him. He's got a great smile, looks good in the suit, but he lost. So I would say Warren Booker. If you're going to take a black male, why not take a sitting U.S. senator? Unless somebody has a better idea. I'm just spitballing here, okay? Spitballing. Tracy writes, Black Snake Moan. Yeah, that was the name of that movie. That movie was crazy. I don't remember all of it, man. It was crazy. Cam writes, Snakes on a Plane. Right. You know what? Sam Jackson's been in 2 movies with snakes. Snakes on a Plane, Snakes in a Warehouse. Snakes in a Warehouse. Magnanimous writes, how did I do it? Willpower. And my wife staying on me to quit. And I couldn't smoke in the house and got tired of going outside to smoke, especially in the winter. Matter of fact, it was February of 2016 when I quit. The dead of winter, LOL. Really? I heard the wifey. I'm telling you, nothing like having a beautiful sister, beautiful woman on your side. Wifey is always a great influence, man. Shout out to the wifey. But people can do it. I had a couple family members that quit cold turkey. They just quit. Doctor told them something, or they felt something, or they thought something. They said, you know what, I'm done. And walked away from it. Tracy writes, Warren Buddha, however you spell it. Who is Buddha? Buttigieg? Warren Buttigieg? Warren Buttigieg. So if I'm pairing Warren with a male, let's look at this very, very clinically. If I'm pairing Warren with a male, do I want a white male or black male? Does it make a difference? Because I believe it does. No, in today's age, post-Obama, if Elizabeth Warren, let's say everything is pretty much kind of equal, I'm not saying that it really is, but would it be better for Warren to have a female VP or a male VP? Not to be sexist, but I would want to say that my gut, just knowing the way this country is in a lot of ways for wrong reasons, my gut is telling me it would be better for her to have a male. I'm not saying that a female couldn't be just as effective, because I think that Warren would be a pretty good president. But what do you think? Should he have a female running mate or a male running mate? If it's a male running mate, should it be a black male or should it be a white male? Andrew Yang, you tell me. I mean, knowing how this country works, knowing how people really vote, you tell me what you think is going to happen. Because that's what it looks like. Bernie, no. Biden, no. Rucker or Davis, we can't split the vote or Dieters wins. Well, not directly. So, like, if there's a primary in that race, then whoever wins would move on to talk about, to challenge Joe Dieters. Now, I guess some wisdom is, well, if you're going through a bloody primary, you got to expend resources. And then you got 2 Democrats that are going at one another. They might open up a wound that the ultimate opponent, who is Joe Dieters, might be able to capitalize off of. I get it. And then the other thought is, okay, you got these 2 Democrats and they do like a gentleman's primary where you don't go personal and you keep it on the issues and it's Cincinnati polite. Whoever the people choose, the people choose. That's one way of going. But for me, if I'm in a race, I'm trying to win. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't trying to do it in no crooked ways, but if I'm pointing out whatever, it is what it is. So I hear what you're saying, Mike, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be very, very interesting. I think everybody in the world who know these 2 gentlemen that live in Hamilton County and Cincinnati would say that all indications would suggest that Fanon Rucker would be more of an opponent against Joe Dieters. And I don't think that says anything negative about Mr. Davis at all, because it's not about him. It's just about, Fanon has that judicial record, second time around, known in, our community. The only man that I know who would vote for Elizabeth Warren is John, a.k.a. Zorro. She's in his fantasy file. Don't believe me? Ask him. She is. We know that to be true. I think there's a lot of men that'll vote for Elizabeth Warren. What I got from Elizabeth Warren is going on YouTube, and part of the Senate's job, and it's got various committees, is to review the various appointees of the administration for various federal positions. So let's say I can't come up with the name of a federal position off the top of my head, but let's say that Donald Trump, and he nominates somebody to take on this new federal position. They would be reviewed by a Senate subcommittee, right? Elizabeth Warren is on that committee, and the YouTube videos are well worth your time. Matter of fact, I played them on the show where she would just be peeling back the onion on these fools. So, Mr. Big Banker, and she would just run down the line and ask him, like, what's up here? And I just got a level of respect for that, because that's what should be happening. It should be a review. Straight, no chaser. Fearless and tearless. And I respect that. But, no candidate is perfect. We'll see. Rucker, stand up. Davis, stand down. That's Cam Israel. See? Really? Clue writes, Puff, what's right? And leave that poison alone. He says, Puff's what's right. Okay, I get it. Go natural. Go natural. Good morning to you. You got to go natural. All right. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. Oh, that's nice. Like that. It's a nice little story. Great. Huh? Ordered a child. Okay. Oh, okay. That's very, very nice. Great to see. Great to see. I'm on Facebook. Sorry about that. Yeah, the big news this morning is that Elijah Cummings has passed away, died unexpectedly at 68. And the older I get and the closer I get to 68, the more I realize, damn, that's young. Time is coming. All of our time is coming. And just rest in power to that brother, man. Interesting. Appreciate you, James. Shout out to James Pitts. Appreciate it. Midwest is one of the worst places for African Americans to live, report says. Really? Did you know there was a student that wore a hazmat suit to class after they found bed bugs? This is not in the city of Cincinnati. This is in Flint Township in Michigan. And apparently his grandmother is now requiring him to wear a full hazmat suit. A hazmat suit is like a jumper. You step into it. It's supposed to be water sealed, and some of them are also sort of like made so that it's airtight as well. It's called a hazmat suit, Hazmat. And you wear a suit like that to protect you when you're in a dangerous environment. And this young man, David Wright, is a freshman. And he's now wearing a full hazmat suit just to, because he doesn't want to get bed bugs. And you know what's funny about it? Or not funny, but I don't have a problem with it. Because if we're really being honest, if you know anything about bed bugs, that's really the only way to make sure you don't get one of those things in your shoe, that you don't have one like in your sock. That's how those things transport. To be honest with you, when you go to the movie theaters moving forward, you should be sitting there in a full hazmat suit. We just don't do it. But I mean, because you can go, how many people, you probably don't know this, but it has happened before where people have gone in and they have been in the movie theater and next thing you know, you got bed bugs. I'll be honest with you. When I get into a person's Uber, that's my number one question. That's one of my biggest problems and fears is that this Uber ride has been compromised and that, you know, I might take a little friend home with me who's not really a friend. I'm all about it, man. Get you a hazmat suit. China, this one's for you. There you go. Brian writes, Deacon Frost. How did, man, see, Brian, see, there it is, man. Great minds. You remember that? Talking about, yes. Great. Let's see. Angela says she's out. On to the next thing. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. I think I read that one. Rothstein, when I worked in real estate finance, a lot of the loan officers did dip and collected the Mountain Dew bottles in their offices. Dip is big in the financial industry as well for the high it gives you. Is that right? Is that right? I did not know that. Quite interesting. The Baltimore Sun's doing a big story. He was from Baltimore, so I'm going to go to Baltimore Press. I think they'll probably do the best press in the country. And Elijah Cummings, 68, died unexpectedly. And the details have yet to come out. He was known for his devotion to Baltimore and also to civil rights. He was also a key figure in the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump because he was the chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee. And he died at the Gilchrist Hospice Care at approximately 2:45 a.m. Early this morning. And apparently he had been receiving some medical attention and, you know, had some other issues. Back in 2017, he underwent a valve in his heart replacement, aortic valve replacement. Yeah, it's real serious. And let me look here. I just hope that Trump doesn't say something totally inappropriate about Elijah Cummings. And before you don't listen, I'm just going to tell you, he might, because ever since John McCain died, he's still been riding on him, talking about him and criticizing him. The man's got no class. Here's what Donald Trump said that his work will be impossible to replace. He tweeted that. I guess that's not the worst thing that could have been said. Here's the official tweet from your president. My warmest condolences to the family and many friends of Congressman Elijah Cummings. I got to see him firsthand, the strength, passion, and wisdom of his highly respected political leader. His work and voice on so many fronts will be very hard, if not impossible, to replace. And if you go back to just July of this year, Donald Trump called Elijah Cummings' district a rodent-infested mess. Not sure they ever made up about that. And it was in August when Donald Trump was making jokes about a robbery that took place at Elijah Cummings' home. Back in July 28, Trump called Elijah Cummings a racist in his tweet. So that'll be an ongoing thing to keep your eye on, man. RIP to that brother. And who's going to step up in his place? What happens now? What happens now? 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. All right. You said it's big in the financial industry, huh? Never would have thought that. Never would have thought that for whatever reason. Hookah over cigarettes, vape, and dip. Sound right? Donald Trump didn't write any of that ish, much less proofread it. TF, as in the, you know what, Tracy? As I was reading it, I thought the same thing. It doesn't sound like his voice. You know what I'm saying? This don't sound like him. Sounds a little off. Looking at local news here to see. I see WCPO's got something up about him. Let me see if all the local news, what they're talking about. Oh, you know what? Let me say this, though. I thought this was quite interesting. Blink draws a record crowd to Cincinnati. They even got the numbers out now. Now, how can they say what the numbers are? I don't know. How can they realistically say that these are the numbers for Blink? Because nobody was taking your tickets. This is an estimate. But, it is what it is. Blink draws record crowds to Cincinnati. Blink is an outdoor festival that takes place at night. It's a 4-day light-filled art extravaganza all through downtown, over the Rhine, and also in Covington as well. Did you know they had stuff over in Covington? It's being reported that at least 1.25 million people and perhaps as many as 1.5 million attended Blink this year. According to estimates from organizers that are based on the city's public safety efforts and reports from consultants working the event. That's likely the biggest crowd ever to visit the city's urban core. Mm-hmm. Know where they're going with this? See where I'm going with this? The Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber is still crunching the numbers on the event's economic impact. But estimates suggest hotels downtown saw 95% occupancy rates on the Friday the festival took place and 99% occupancy rates on that Saturday. That's great. That's great. I don't want this to overshadow the work they're doing at the Cincinnati Visitors Bureau. You know that every single year there is a big weekend when you got the Cincinnati Music Fest. You got the Black Taste stuff that's going on downtown, the Vibe events. I do know that it was reported last year that was the biggest one-time event in terms of economic impact. And now they're saying that Blink is, looks like they're saying it brought at least 1.25 million people. So looks like they're going to say that this might be like the biggest like economic impact. And I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of people in downtown. Is it safe to say that it was 1.5 million people over 4 days? No. I don't know about that. I mean, it was surging on Uber, but it wasn't surging that much. You got 4-day event, it's saying 1.5. So do the numbers for me, somebody. 4, divide 1.5 by 4 real quick. Tell me what you get. So you got 300,000+ people every single day that went to Blink. I don't know about that. Like, there's only 300,000 people that live in Cincinnati. So are these the same people coming back every night? I don't know, man. I don't know. They got the projections out already. Well, the streetcar got crazy work. Cincinnati streetcars saw more than 43,000 rides over those 4 days, including 14,000 on Saturday alone. Shall see. Blink was designed to bring communities together. Is it? Communities? It could. It could. I mean, I do know that, what was it, Jubilee Cincinnati? They had something that was going on downtown. So, yeah, it could. It could kind of, like, it can bring people all down to it, and then people go their separate ways and kind of, like, split off and kind of do their own thing. 300,000 people. Did you see 300,000 people at Blink? Hard to say because it was spread out by so much. Where do these people come from? Ayana writes, I think his death is political. Really? Like, you think that homicide is you thinking? I mean, if that happened with Elijah Cummings, I'm telling you, it's going to be, it's going to be the biggest investigation you've seen in a long, long time. So far, I haven't read anything like that. Ayana, what makes you say that? Brian writes, I was thinking the same thing about Blink. News stations keep saying it's the biggest event in Cincinnati. They're just trying to make Jazz Fest and BFR look small. Yeah, they're trying to make, well, BFR, it's not small, but they're trying to make that Cincinnati music weekend seem small. And I'm just looking at it that way. Because 300,000 people, there was a lot of people downtown. And I was out and about. And I can't say either way. 300, again, if all the people in Cincinnati would have had to be there. That's the population of Cincinnati. It's like 350,000 people that live in this city, I think. Somewhere around there. I think the numbers went up. Tracy writes, they want it bigger than Jazz Fest numbers, but it takes a whole year to come out with Jazz Fest figures. You know what? Great point. Great point, right. Great point. They already got the numbers right here. Oh, we're going to get it's the biggest thing that's ever happened. Now, Blink is not an all-day event. It starts at sunset, as I believe, right? And it goes into like 11 o'clock. So you telling me that 1.5 million people 300,000 people came through in 4 or 5 hours? The other thing about this is, how can you calculate this at night? It was dark as hell. How can you estimate this at night? How are they getting these numbers? Man, I'm calling BS with these numbers here. Blink is not an all-day event. Well, they're saying that 1 million people attended the event the first year, so maybe it's not that far off, because you do know that there was a lot more excitement and interest in it this year. So it could be that their numbers are accurate, but I'd like to know, they're doing estimates. So estimates are, and if I'm an event organizer and I just put on a big event, and then you're going to come to me to tell you the estimate, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to be generous because we're estimating. I'm going to be generous to myself. So, I'm sure the Blink organizers are being generous to themselves with these estimations. How can you estimate this at night? I don't know. Well, what they do is they look at the hotel occupancy, and I'm sure there's people who are good with numbers and they calculate these kind of things all the time. And this is what they do. Okay, but I like to hear just a little bit more about it. Too many Trump supporters. Hospital staff. I watch too much TV. House of Cards. Did he have a Trumpster that was on his nurse team? Oh no. House of Cards, man, that's some great TV right there. Great TV. Especially, I like the earlier seasons. That last one, I'll be honest with you, I was a little confused on the last season as to what the hell was going on. That's when the wife took over. It was great. Kevin Spacey had to leave because he got caught up with a Me Too movement. He was exposing himself or touching some dude or something like that. Tiffany writes, you have to remember that the Queen Bee happened during that weekend, and the wellness conventions were as well. So those numbers were probably in there as well, right? Tracy writes, there is no real economic impact for this local event. Nobody is traveling in for this ish. No malls made money. Restaurants on the banks, maybe. Yeah, because just think about it logically. Like, when people come in for the Cincinnati Music Fest, they come in for the weekend, they stay for the weekend, and they're out during the day and all day long. Now, could that happen with Blink? Yeah, people could drive into Cincinnati, get a hotel. I'm sure people did. And then they're just here and they're out and about. But was Blink doing anything during the day? As I understood it, the party started at nightfall. So if you came into town, there was no organized Blink events. Like, when you come into town, you got the vibe events downtown. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. We got to question everything these days, man. You can't take nothing for granted. Can't take nothing for granted. Just like you did when he was asked not to show up at McCain's. Just like then, him showing up now would be fake and only a saving-face gesture, right? If he goes to the Elijah Cummings funeral. Yeah, McCain's family said, don't even come. We don't want you here. Don't try to get brand new. We don't roll like that. We don't roll like that. What is this? Okay, shout out to Jesse Kirsch. Appreciate that. He posted something from Now This Politics. It's interesting. Trump's pick to head the Treasury's civil rights program doesn't seem to think discrimination exists. So he was asked straight up, do you believe that discrimination exists? This man said, I've never seen it firsthand. What? Oh, my God. This is crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. This is Emmanuel Cleaver. Wow. He doesn't watch TV. He's only watching that money. What the hell? Oh, hell. Wow. Did you hear about the UAW picketer who suffered a heart attack and she died at the picket line? Black woman. And her name is Jennifer Taylor McDowell, 51 years old, longtime employee of the Detroit Hamtramck GM assembly plant. She had just moved recently to Fort Wayne, Indiana to work at the plant there, and she died after suffering a heart attack out on the picket line. She died because of GM's greed. Those UAW workers shouldn't have to go out there and do that. GM, in their greed, they took from the American people, they took from the unions. And now that they're making money, they don't want to share the wealth. You're going to see a similar theme throughout a lot of situations in this country right now. It's greed. You got plenty of money in this city. You got plenty of money in the Cincinnati region. Plenty of money. I mean, there's a lot of very wealthy people that live in this area, whether you know it or not. Lots of folks, man, they stay on a down low. It's just about greed. Nothing more. All right, don't forget, you got a couple of very interesting and very serious decisions to make in November. You've got not only the Hamilton County Municipal Court races, but you're also going to have the Cincinnati Public School Board races. You've got a Cincinnati Public School levy, countywide levies. You also got issue 22 as well. So there's quite a lot of bid, and I'll dive into all of that actually as we get closer and closer to the election. So listen, have a great day. I'll be back with you bright and early tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. Mason Marler writes, Blink, never heard of him. Blue Magic writes, Blink can't hold the Jazz Festival's jockstrap. Tracy writes, drive in from where? Erlanger? Well, maybe. Maybe, again, they had something in Kentucky, so you got to understand that people were over in Covington as well. So I'm sure you had a lot of Kentucky people that came up and they went to Blink. You got people from the suburbs that'll come down and get hotel rooms. And they'll stay 2 or 3 nights and just be in downtown. And that way, and just walk around. And then when it gets done, they just go back to the hotel. Like, people did that too. So there's no real, Blink, I think I read all of this. People are not really feeling Blink, huh? I mean, hey, it is what it is. Now, if it was Black Blink, would that make a difference? But I do know that there were some at least one organization that had an event, or they had a corner and was doing some type of events at Blink. So I guess the opportunities are there in the future as well. But listen, have a great day. I'll be back with you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and we'll chop it up on everything that's going on. My guest at 9:30 a.m. will be Ben Lindy. He's running for the school board here in the city of Cincinnati. He wants to represent our kids and lead it into the future. So we'll talk with him and get his thoughts. I will catch up with you very, very shortly. Have an excellent day, and we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.